Hello, good morning. My name is Peter Stommel. I'm the Senior Solution Architect for Horizon Cloud in the EUC Product Engineering Group at VMware. And my colleague?
Good morning, Felix Block, Practice SE at VMware.
And we have the pleasure to present to a large audience today Horizon Cloud, what we call the real cloud. So before we start with the presentation, I just want to inform you, and I would really appreciate if you tell that all your colleagues, because you will meet in the break. We have a change to the session at 2 o'clock, which was announced very badly, to be honest, as a line item in a lot of text. As a troubleshooting session, we decided to go for a different approach, so you can take all our hands-on labs. You know what hands-on labs is? It's the VMware education website where you can try all the products for free. If you register today, you get 365 days free enablement on all the Horizon, on all the VMware products in general. We have over 140 labs there. You can take them from home, you can take them from anywhere. Yeah? So please register on the website labs.hrl.vmware.com. It's easy, you click on the login button and then you get basically that form. You click on the registry, you enable with your email, you get an email back that you're confirmed, and then you can log in and then you can take all the labs. And there is also a URL, docs.hrl.vmware.com. You can download all the lab templates, all the lab guides as a PDF or HTML, which gives you a really good point of, if you want to do an installation on a particular product, that really helps you, to walk through the product and get the basic installation done. So very helpful in that case. Okay, and then I hand over to my colleague.
Thank you.
The shy German guy.
The shy German. You're German too, Peter.
Yeah, but I'm not shy.
Yeah. All right. Who knows Horizon in general?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. That's all? Okay. First, before we start, so we have two products which are called Horizon. We have Horizon 7, which is the equivalent to XenDesktop or XenApp. So this is something a customer installed on-premise in his own data center, has the same features, and of course some add-ons on top of that, what you know maybe from Citrix. This is we always have Horizon 6, 7, in the future 8, whatever. But we have also Horizon Cloud, and this is what we focus now in our session. And from the end user experience, it's exactly the same. So the user connect to the browser or to the Horizon client, get access to this application, desktops, terminal server, whatever you want to provide. The difference is Horizon Cloud is running all on Linux. So we don't have any Windows components in Horizon Cloud. Everything is on Linux, on appliance base. So it's completely different architecture behind, but from the user experience it's exactly the same, and you can choose where to run Horizon Cloud. So we offer multiple offers. In our VMware Cloud, you bring your own cloud, so when you still want to run it on-premise or on Azure. And we want to focus now on the VMware Cloud, but mostly, of course, on the Azure piece, because we see here a lot, and we go deeper.
Not Amazon at all.
Sorry?
Not Amazon at all?
Not yet. Maybe it's coming. So our focus will be to show you today how we solve that in Azure. When it comes to deployment option, if you see here on the right, this is a traditional Horizon 7 environment. So you have your connection brokers, you have your load balancers, you have your database, you have your SAN storage, your management servers, everything you know traditionally. And it's a full CapEx installation. So someone from the customer side need to purchase the servers, need to purchase storage, networking, install everything, configure everything, everything by his own. Gives him, of course, flexibility, but that's not the way how we see desktop and application should be provided in the future. So what we focus now on VMware is more on the left side, which is Horizon Cloud hosted infrastructure. So everything which is needed to run a desktop or an application is installed as a service in our data centers. So VMware takes care about everything that the platform is running, and the customer just brings his own image, his applications, his settings, and consume that as an OpEx module. So we pay per desktop, per month, per user, and get full flexibility. And similar to that, we have the same on Microsoft Azure. So VMware takes care about the infrastructure. The customer brings his own Azure capacity with, and he just runs the service. So it's a difference between on-prem and the cloud. So we don't move our on-prem components to the cloud, and the customer is responsible for that. So we do it one step further. We move everything to the cloud and provide it to a service in a certain degree. So that's very important, that Horizon Cloud is more than just moving the infrastructure to a cloud provider. I will cover now a little bit Horizon Cloud in our data centers, but as I said, main focus should be Azure. But what does it give you as a benefit, or your customers as a benefit, to run Horizon Cloud in the VMware Cloud? So, of course, it's simplified. You don't need to worry about the infrastructure. You don't need to be a Linux expert, because everything is hosted, managed, controlled, monitored by us. So that's very important. You don't need to be an expert in that. You have a global infrastructure. So right now we have 7 data centers, but we still extend that, and your customers can select where to run these desktops and applications. It's super easy and super fast to deploy. So it takes only a few days, and it really depends, of course, on the customer, how fast he provides his master image, his applications, things like that, but you're ready in a few days to deploy thousands of desktops without doing anything. So you get it as a service. And from the features, if we compared it with an on-premise Horizon 7 environment, we use the same protocol, the same ports, the same basic infrastructure, so you don't need to learn anything new. It's VDI or it's terminal server, and it stays the same. So it gives you the features like 3D optimization and everything you know from terminal servers. And yeah, the most important thing for our customers, of course, is the cost. So if you can tell them your desktop will cost you $32 per month, most of the customers are happy and say, okay, I can calculate with that. On VDI or terminal server in traditional way, of course, it might be a little bit challenging to give them a fixed price, as we know. So this is an argument, of course, for some customers to be able. Yes?
Is that the actual price you mentioned?
No, it depends what kind of capacity you need. So, but we have a pricing calculation at the last slide, and so we start with $8 and till yes,
How much?
8
Per day or per month?
per month. We show you in the last slide, but good question. So 32 is just yeah. So
A random number.
a random number, yeah. It depends on the customer, of course, or the image, yeah. What we have in Horizon Cloud in our data center, so we call it hosted infrastructure, is on top of the desktop or the terminal server, we can deploy a real-time application delivery by using app volumes. You may heard, anyone heard app volumes used, tried? One? Oh, we need Barak, yeah, the guy here is from VMware too, and he's the expert on app volumes.
Guys,
so
why did Citrix start AppDisk? Come on.
You need this.
you need this, yeah.
AppDisk.
So this is included. So if you want to have one master image and you want to customize it, of course, for each user with his own specific applications, you can use app volumes, and that's in the product, in the solution included, so no extra charges. But it makes, of course, the management much easier if you have one master image and integrate your applications. We have also a technology, it's called Instant Clone. Anyone hear it?
Sure.
You're the VMware guy, huh?
May I remark something? This is the reason why Citrix actually is more up to date right now.
Yeah.
App volumes, instant close. I don't even get there yet, but
Yeah. So with
At least
Instant,
one gets the point.
yeah, sure.
with Instant Clone, we can provision desktops in seconds. So it's nothing like a PVS where you boot from the network or something like that. So we fork a running virtual machine. So you have your master image, which is running, including the memory, and we can fork clones of that. I think it's 2 images per second or something like that. So if you want to update your master image, it goes crazy fast if you want to update 1,000, 10,000 desktops. And all is running on this master image, but of course has a replication to a replica disk to write down your changes, like you know it from PBS if you want to store the changes.
Do you have a picture of how that works?
Not in this slide, but we have.
But we can talk.
We
after
can
the
talk.
session.
Yeah, we have a good deep dive slide how it works on the technical architecture side. Yeah. And user environment manager, our profile and application management tool. So to handle the user profile, to optimize the user profile as well as managing the application. So lock down some features, add some features to application, change some things. It's also included. So otherwise, it makes of course no sense to have a desktop which powers on and your profile is missing, your application are not personally, and you don't have the latest image. So everything comes together, and we call it JMP or jump technology, which is included.
Question.
Yeah.
This workspace control, is that also able to transport the profile to from 7 to 10 or
Yes.
different
Yes.
versions?
User environment management is the acquisition that we did in 2012, I think.
Yeah, I know, the guys sitting over there.
The Immediate guys are basically the initial product of that, and you can obviously do migration, you can do multi-data center, active, passive.
But is it like a zero-touch profile migration? Or do you
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean,
do something?
it's never a zero touch, right?
Oh.
I mean, you need to at least capture some application configuration, but
Yeah,
if
of
you
course.
if you install the agent in the infrastructure, you can migrate or capture the user configuration that the user already has, and you can transition that between the different operation systems. So we support 7, 8.1, 2008, 2012, 2016, and Windows 10 as well. So there is a seamless migration, but it depends very much on the application itself. If that registry changes during the operation system, then obviously you can't use that. But
There even seems to be some profile differences between 10 version profiles. So
yeah, we manage the majority of that, like the Kachel apps and all that kind of new invention that Microsoft brought into Windows 10, which causes a lot of problems in VDI. We have an optimization tool that you can optimize the image and also the profile to give the customer or the user the best experience in terms of performance.
Okay.
But I'm happy to talk to you after that, so no problem.
So
Have to speed up.
yeah, I need to speed up. So management responsibilities, and that's a good slide. So everything which is below this waterline is VMware is responsible. So as I said, we take care about the infrastructure, we take care about the data center, the hardware, and give you full support. So you start, or your customer starts with bringing this image and applications and manage that. So VMware does not manage the operating system for you, but we manage everything below. So the full platform is always available 99.9% on an SLA base.
And the benefit really on the top part is you're taking away the low-level jobs in terms of managing the infrastructure, but you're still working on the consultancy in terms of, how do you compose your applications, how do you optimize your image, how you compose your image, how do you use profile, licensing, all that is the higher paid consultancy jobs versus the low-level just maintaining the hardware and changing disks kind of stuff.
So our current data center, I mentioned we have 7. So in Europe we have in Frankfurt 1 and 2 next to London. But of course we have 3 in the US, 1 in Japan, and we still extend that. So it's always, we have a closed data center usually for the European customers. And we can always select multiple, of course, if you have a customer who want to run that in multiple regions of the world. Sometimes it don't work. Okay.
You always have to
These are our t-shirt size of virtual machines, and you see always we have a desktop model with called SDC. So it's always double the SDC, and you purchase from us SDC. So if you would say I will buy 500 SDCs, you could build 500 value desktops or 250 professional or a mix of both. So we don't tie you into one desktop module, you just buy the capacity and you do whatever you want to do.
It's much more flexible, so you can create a pool with value and then you figure out, value is not going to work with that kind of application set. You reduce the amount of capacity in that pool and you bring up the same pool as a professional desktop with a different spec by reducing the one, extending the other one. So it's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah. Pricing, just very quick. So we separate the license, the user license, you can choose a named or a concurrent one, from the capacity. So even with the user license, you could migrate your users to say, I start on Azure, and tomorrow I will migrate to Horizon Cloud hosted in our data centers. The license will stay the same, so you don't need to buy or change anything in terms of the license. Then I mentioned you buy the standard capacity or bring your own hardware or own capacity in Azure, and you have some add-ons which you can add. And everything is on a monthly base, so you don't need to be tied in a 2-3 years contract. You can, of course, it gives you a discount, but it's on a monthly period license and capacity. So very, very high level how it looks like. So we have our data center, Horizon Cloud, and we build a dedicated tenant for each customer. So dedicated hardware, dedicated storage for each tenant. We don't share anything there. We build the environment for you. You build your desktops in this environment. You have then a VPN, MPLS, network exchange, whatever connection you choose to your on-premise environment just to get your Active Directory integrated, your access to your file servers, your application servers, whatever a customer prefers. And then you can select the user could go straight to the desktop using the internet connection, so we can enable the desktop to the internet if you like, or a user is connecting through the VPN or MPLS to the desktop. So it really depends what you or the customer want to do. But it's always like an extension of your existing data center.
It's like a branch office.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So that's very important. This is how a tenant looks like. So the green one is our service provider. This is VMware environment. And then we see here the multiple tenants. So tenant A has an infrastructure, tenant B has an infrastructure, as I said, dedicated hardware storage. So we build for each customer an own environment, and they never share that. And you see here the network, this is the customer network. So he can integrate or extend his network to the cloud seamlessly, no change in terms of IP addresses and things like that.
And that's really important in terms of a licensing. The customer can use his enterprise license agreement that he has with Microsoft. So he doesn't have to have a SPLA license or anything like that, because it's a dedicated infrastructure for him, and he can use his licensing that he has on-prem as well, which is a big benefit compared to other competitive
Solution.
Sorry?
Another competitive solution. It's,
Yeah.
All right, so handing over to Peter to talk about the same, but now how it looks like on Microsoft Azure.
Yeah,
I
so
think you have to go to the...
yeah. So Horizon Cloud on Azure, same concept. The only difference is that we only provide you with the license and you buy the capacity from Azure to build the environment. The difference to competitive products is that we do a fully automated installation in 40 minutes of the entire infrastructure, so you only provide a couple of networks, and the information to that networks, you provide us a VNet in the Azure subscription, and then we build the environment out in 40 minutes max. Yeah. But I will go into that in a little bit more detail. So BYO cloud infrastructure means you use your existing Azure subscription, a perfect place, to burn your credits that the customer gets as a goodie from Microsoft. And we see a lot of customers in enterprise space, they get lots of credits from Microsoft Azure, so they can use them, burn them with a VDI solution. It's cloud managed. We have a cloud control plane where you connect to, you manage from there, you manage your image, you manage your entitlements from there. And you have also graphic support, so we support vGPU. Microsoft has vGPU support on the platform. We utilize that with one model. You can have applications in desktop delivery, RDSH, published applications, published desktops, which is coming very soon. And then you have the power management, so we utilize also the functionality of Azure that you can shut down a machine if you don't use it. So you have an host, or you have a cluster or a farm of 20 servers, but you can shut down 10 if you only need 10, because the capacity that is used, you need only 10 servers. So you can configure that, it shuts it down, you can delete them, you can recreate them, depending on what you want or how you want to do that. The user experience is exactly the same as Horizon Cloud. It's the same look and feel for the end user, and it's also the same look and feel for the admin. we use the same protocols. We use Blast Extreme, the Beat protocols. So you can use PC over IP. It's exactly the same as, so there's no difference from a user perspective. You give him a different URL where he connects to, it's the same experience in terms of the desktop. We have full integration, obviously, into WorkspaceOne, our conceptual platform. You can broker all SAML SaaS-based, web-based application, including Citrix, into that as a consumption platform, so you can swap infrastructure on the back end. The user gets an icon, he clicks on, he gets a desktop or a published application. Where that application comes from doesn't really matter. And then you obviously have also remote access, so we have the ability to build a DM set with an Azure load balancer, to unified access gateways front-facing that, so you can provide internet-facing access into Azure where the user connects to, and I will explain that in a little bit more detail in a second. So what we basically have is our cloud service. It's a web UI and a connector that connects to the smart node, to the UHEs and the jump box, and that is running on Azure. In principle, what we do is you get an account here, and then you bind that to your Azure subscription so we are able to basically deliver and deploy the infrastructure. We have the cloud control plane. That's basically what we manage in the cloud control plane. So you have desktop app management, user environment management, image management, monitoring, analytics, and service updates. So we regularly update the infrastructure, especially a smart node. We do a blue-green update. That means we keep the old environment, we build a complete new environment, we transition the data across, we check if anything works, and then we shut down the blue environment. The green environment gets live, and you have a 5-minute disruption between updates. So what we do is we bind that to the Azure subscription as a first thing, and then you use the Azure capacities that you have to build your infrastructure. If you look at from an admin perspective, so the admin logs on to the VMware console, is then connected to Azure, and on the back end you have obviously on-prem infrastructure connection, either via ExpressRoute, MPLS, or VPN into the customer environment on Azure. That's typically what we see. And the user is always connecting directly to Azure, so he doesn't have to go through the cloud control plane. That's only for admin purposes. And the infrastructure that we build out is pretty simple. We deploy a deployment engine, which is a Linux box where we download into the Azure subscription, that then downloads all the components that we need. Then we deploy our smart node, which is the management platform that sits in Azure. We then have the option to connect WorkspaceOne connector. You bring up a licensing server or an Active Directory inside that VNet, or you can use a paired VNet to your AD infrastructure that you already have. You can use Active Directory sync, domain services from Azure. It doesn't really matter what you use. And then we build out a public IP address and a DM set. We use an Azure load balancer, our unified access gateways, another firewall, and then you have the smart node. That gives you the public access. But you don't have to deploy that. That's an option. If you want to keep it in your environment and only connect via VPN, as Felix said, that's an option as well. What we then do is we then select an image out of the marketplace. So you go to the, in our console, you go to the Azure marketplace, you select your desktop model or server model that you want to have, and then you install the agents from our side, you install your applications, you build a farm, you create entitlements, and you're ready to go. And then you have obviously backend infrastructure connection to the customer. If they use their own data center connection, you can utilize that to reach back to infrastructure, databases, backend services, file services, print service, whatever the customer basically has on-prem. And as said, the user is always connecting via Azure, so no disruption for the user. Same principles, the only difference is, as you can see, the hardware and the server facility and the data center facility is provided by Azure in that case, and the user and solution provider would then provide the desktop management, access, application capturing, all that kind of the day two operations basically. Yeah. And VMware provides the cloud management platform, the virtual desktop and application delivery. We update the service regularly, and that gives us basically the ability to keep you up to date with the latest and greatest. So if we have a change in terms of architecture, we bring new features in, you get that really in a very quick turnaround. The benefit obviously of Azure is the global regions that we support, so much more data center gives the customer much more flexibility in where he wants to have the infrastructure. You can obviously run multiple environments in different regions. It's really only depending on your preference to your backend infrastructure, and obviously you would choose a location that is close to your data center, to avoid latency, the typical thing that you try to avoid. I already discussed the update method that we do. So we get basically weekly upgrades on the cloud control plane. It's a microservice architecture, so we use all container-based. In SmartNode, it's all container-based, so easy to swap, easy to extend, no problem on that side. And the node then gets quarterly updated, so you get every quarter you get an update with new functionalities and features. And as I said, we have a blue and a green node. We basically move the data across. We do a check on the green node if anything is expected, as it should be. Then we basically destroy or shut down the blue node for a period of time, probably a week or so. We keep the blue node in shutdown mode, so you can always roll back. But typically, if the check is done and that is all good, then we destroy the blue node, we come up with the green node, and the infrastructure is up and running again. So the deployment looks pretty easy. So you log on with your VMware account. That's the requirement that you have. The URL will change, so don't note that down. And then you come into in our cloud control plane. You provide basically a name of your subscription. That's the Azure subscription. We need the application ID, we need the directory ID, we need a shared key and an application key. That's basically what we get from Azure. We add that into the infrastructure. We then select a name for your node. You select the Azure region. You can have a tag for yourself where you say, that's Europe, that's America, whatever. Then you select basically your Azure region here. And then you select your VNet. If you already have a VNet with the IP spaces that we require, you basically select the management network, you select the desktop network, you select an NTP service, and if you want to deploy the DMZ, you leave that on, and then you provide an FQDN with certificate, and you have a third IP range. So we can start with a /28 for all the networks. What we typically see is the management network is either a /28 or a 24, depending on the size of the infrastructure that you want to build. And you can have, in the desktop network, you can have a /22 as a max at the moment. We will extend that to multiple subnets that you can add later on. And that gives you enough growth for the infrastructure. And as I said, it builds the infrastructure out pretty quick. That's the point where your smart node is connected, and that's where you can go into the marketplace and select an image and deploy an image. You install the software. What we do is as soon as you select the image in the marketplace, you basically provide the admin credentials for that, and we push our agents into that image. So it's a no-touch installation in terms of the agents that you need to do. You can configure obviously the features and functionalities in the View agent. If you want to use USB redirection, 3D printing, all that can be selected. But it's a fully automated install. We push it into the image, and in that moment the image comes basically up. You see here, that's basically the configuration in my image. I provide the name, I provide the location, and then I provide an admin account, and then I select basically the options that I want to have in the View agent, and we push it into the image fully automated, so you don't have to touch the image basically to that point. If the DAS agent and the View agent is configured, it comes up in the console, and in that console you can then basically create a farm of it, create an entitlement, and you're basically done. So it takes probably, we did in the beta phase, I did over 20 beta customers, and we spent probably 3 to 4 hours in total to bring the environment up with an image, and then the customer installs the application and creates his farm, so pretty quick. As already said, we use also the host management functionalities, so you can set optimized performance, balanced performance, or optimized power, and you have a maximum size that you can keep up. So you can say my maximum farm is 20 hosts, but if I only need 2 hosts, we would shut down the 18 hosts or delete them depending on what you configure, which gives you the benefit that you don't pay for that at all, or you only pay for storage and not for compute because they're not running. And then you can also automatically bring them up again depending on demand. So if you need more capacity, we bring another host up, but you have to obviously consider that the host maybe takes 10-15 minutes before it's ready again, so you have to cater that in. But in general, that's no difference to any other solution. Yeah. So you only spend really the money for the cloud capacity that you need. Apart from if you shut the machines down, you obviously have to pay for the storage as well. But that's definitely a lower cost. So really the benefit of using Azure. RSH maintenance, that's basically the maintenance functionality. You can have a daily or weekly schedule, so you can say, I want to reboot my hosts every 24 hours every week, because we know terminal servers is typically, very sensitive in terms of running it long. You get memory leaks and all that kind of crap that you have on a Windows terminal server. You can then recreate or destroy the machine depending on what you want to do. And then you have sequence times for your master image. You can set a minimum amount of RSH hosts you want to keep. So you can say, I want to have only 1 host all the time, and I refurbish all the other hosts. That is definitely also a possibility. At the moment, we support those standard models, so D2 version 2, D3, and D4. We obviously also support the GPU optimized workloads. That's the NV6 with an M60 card. And at the moment, we support 2012 and 2016. So Windows 10 is coming beginning of next year. We start the beta in December, and we will have the VDI, the true VDI in terms of a Windows 10 beginning next year. I mean, vGPU is pretty simple. We basically use the utilization from the Azure subscription. And at the moment we only support 2012 as an image. 2016 is coming in January as well. We obviously have the WorkspaceOne offering, where we can aggregate all the information, all the applications that you have, so that's your central platform for user consumption. Does anyone know WorkspaceOne? You had some nodding here. Anyone else? Okay, so 2 people of 20. Are you still in IT, or are you already dead?
Architecture.
Yeah, but that's
Dead. Okay.
Yeah. So WorkspaceOne is basically our consumption platform. You can aggregate all your SaaS-based, web-based applications, including Citrix, Box, Horizon Cloud. So it's one consumption platform that you use to aggregate the user. You have, awareness in terms of user location. You can restrict on user location. You have enforcing of single sign-on or multi-factor authentication. So pretty cool. And in combination with WorkspaceOne, you have also the AirWatch components, where you can use the mobile device management and the enterprise device management. So pretty interesting. As part of the profile, as part of the Azure configuration, we also use the the user environment management as part of the functionalities. We recommend to use that in no AD mode, but you can also use it in AD mode if you want to use it in the same way you use it on your on-prem infrastructure. It's not a problem, but the recommendation would to use it in no AD mode, because it makes it a little bit simpler in terms of installation. Because if you use it in AD mode, you obviously need a file server where you store the infrastructure, and you need group policies and all that. But that is definitely also an option. Yeah? And by the way, we haven't talked about money yet, yeah? And I think that's an important thing going to cloud, because anyone thinks cloud is cheap. Some clouds are less. So that's a calculation that we did on Horizon Cloud on-prem, Horizon Cloud on Azure, Horizon Cloud on Azure, always on. So I calculated 24 hours a day availability, and that's your Citrix infrastructure with the same capabilities. And if you look at Horizon Cloud with a 50 user, with a 250 or 1,000 user, you see a significant difference in terms of the price. Yeah.
This is per month?
That is per month for 1,000 users. Yeah.
And this is out of, so the Citrix price is out of their calculator on the website, so it's nothing
And
from us.
that includes our Windows, that includes our Horizon licensing, and it gives you the entitled capacity. You can have, you know, multiple data centers with that capacity. You can split 500, 500 if you want. It's no problem. Yeah.
That means it costs like 200 euro a year.
So that's the list price for 50 users. It's 1065.84. We calculated 40 days, 40 hours a week uptime, so 8 hours a day. We have chosen the region. We used the concurrent user model. We used the knowledge worker. We used the smaller size server, which is the cheapest version on our side. And we used 6 concurrent users on the server. I know that Citrix is calculating with 11. We take a more safe approach and safer approach by you going for 6. So you have always, you know, leeway to add another 2 or 3 users. But the calculation is rather conservative in that terms.
Do you have a calculator like Citrix has?
We have a calculator online, so the Horizon Cloud calculator is already there. The Horizon Cloud on Azure, we only, it's simply you just calculate the license, because that's only what you need from us. And that is basically the license. You would obviously have to add the Citrix, the Azure subscription on top of that, and you have to also, you know, configure or imagine what do you need on network, because you are paying for egress into the Azure environment. That's an open book basically. You don't know what the end user does. I mean, you can pretty easy calculate the bandwidth that you need to connect to the desktop, because you have that information. But if the end user is streaming a YouTube video in high definition for 5 days, then that's a bandwidth that you have to pay for. So it's definitely something that will add to the price. Yeah. So that's basically our take on cloud, and that's the reason why I said the real cloud, because I mean, if you look at 20 grand difference in the same functionalities, and I know for a fact that Citrix on Azure is not an automated installation, it's still manual installation. You have to bring up the environment in the same way you do that on-prem. And I did that 20 years as a Citrix consultant, so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah? Any questions?
You mentioned plus the Azure subscription, but what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so in that case, that is our licensing that you pay to us. That's either $8 or $13 for a concurrent, or $8 for a named user. And then you would obviously buy the capacity for the D2, D3, D4, but that's a bill that you get from Azure, so we are not involved in that. We give you only the license, and that gives you the ability to have the infrastructure to manage your VDI desktops or your RDSH hosts. That's what you pay for us on our side, and then you pay your subscription on the Azure side. Yeah?
The price you see here is included Azure. So this is
That is the
included
yes.
everything.
That
But
is already
you pay a
included.
part to VMware and a part to Microsoft, but that's all included. So
It's not only the licensing in that case, yeah? Because 50 multiplied by 13 is not 1,500. Yeah?
Can you also do this in the local cloud, the regional cloud, so you can keep your data like in Germany or?
You mean on Azure?
Yeah.
You can do it in any region that we support.
Yeah, okay, but is it like government approved? You can keep it inside of your country?
Yes, the German data center, particular that is hosted by T-System, is an environment that we support. We have some environments in the US that we don't support yet because they are FedRAMP and other capabilities. We don't support them. But as long as you have the D2, D3, D4, and the ND6 as a capacity in the data center, we support the data center. Yeah,
it's 42 data centers today.
Yeah.
So
it's
nearly
pretty,
everything.
pretty good footprint. Yeah. Okay. No other questions? Are you still thinking?
I'm thinking about
Still waking up.
They're saying what credit card to use.
Okay. I mean, if you feel free after the session to come to us and talk to us in terms of architecture or questions. If you don't have any question, that's fine as well. Okay. Thanks for attendance.
No problem.